All right, let's dive right in. We're going to explore a really radical, almost rebellious idea about something we all know intimately: the feeling of being hurt. What if our entire approach to it, our whole lives, has been, well, completely wrong?
You see this idea everywhere, don't you? It's on posters, it's all over social media. It's presented as this universal truth, like the absolute peak of being a good person. And it feels right. It sounds noble. The basic idea is simple. Good people just don't cause pain.
But here's where the teachings of Acharya Prashant throw a wrench in the works. What if this well-meaning kindness, this constant effort to shield ourselves and everyone around us from every little sting and bruise, what if it's actually building a prison of fragility that we can't escape? So let's take a look at how this cage is built, brick by brick, because this teaching argues that our society has created this really strange paradoxical culture, one that, without even meaning to, actually rewards you for being hurt. So the source material starts with a pretty stark observation. The person who gets wounded easily, who's always quick to feel slighted or offended, that person is already living with a pretty big problem, you know? Their whole life becomes a minefield of potential pain. And this is the core of the whole argument. The teaching says the bigger problem isn't even the initial wound itself. It's the whole system, the whole ecosystem of people who rush in to pamper it. The friend who soothes, the family that babies you, they are, maybe without realizing it, just pouring gasoline on the fire. And this slide just breaks it down perfectly. See, we've mixed up indulgence with love. We think we're being kind when we rush to soothe every little complaint. But all this attention, all this patronage, it creates this powerful feedback loop. The teaching is basically saying that if we didn't get this constant reinforcement, the habit of being easily hurt would probably just fade away. Okay, so this brings the focus right back to us, to our own actions. How is it that our best intentions, our attempts to be loving and supportive, end up making the chains even tighter when we think we're loosening them? And this is where the teaching asks us to just stop and look inward, honestly. Think about your own relationships. When someone you care about is hurt, what's your first move? Do you immediately rush to their side, agree with them, validate their pain without a single question? And is that really love, or is it something else? And right here, the distinction becomes crystal clear. Look at this. Indulgence is all about the surface. It rushes in to soothe, to put a Band-Aid on things. But true love, as it's defined here, it goes deeper. It's not afraid to question the very basis of the wound, because its goal isn't just temporary comfort, it's real, lasting freedom. One path strengthens the cage, the other helps you find the key. So, if our sympathy is so often misplaced, then we've got to ask an even more fundamental question. What is it that's actually getting hurt? What is this fragile little thing inside of us that needs so much protection all the time? The teaching asks us to just sit with this question. I mean, really think about it. Sure, your body can get physically injured, of course, but that feeling of being hurt, that sting from an insult, the pain of rejection, what part of you is actually experiencing that? And this is the profound revelation at the very heart of this teaching. Your true self, your core consciousness, it's untouchable. It can't be made smaller by a comment or an action. The only thing that can be hurt is the ego, that identity we've built for ourselves, made of beliefs and ideas and expectations. Now, if you can accept that, if it's only the ego that can be hurt, then every single moment of pain gets totally transformed. It's no longer this catastrophe that we have to avoid at all costs. It becomes something incredibly valuable. It becomes an opportunity. This quote just reframes everything, doesn't it? Hurt isn't some kind of punishment. It's the opportunity to see where you are still deluded and dependent. It becomes a diagnostic tool, a bright, flashing arrow pointing directly at a part of you that's clinging to a false belief or depending on something outside of you for your own self-worth. So what does this actually look like in real life? Well, the teaching lays out a really clear path. First, you don't pretend you don't feel it. You acknowledge the sting. But then, instead of blaming the world, you identify the source. Ah, this is my ego reacting. And from there, you get curious. You ask the real questions. What belief did that just threaten? What expectation just got shattered? And where was I depending on that person's approval to feel okay? So really, the teaching leaves us with this powerful choice. The next time you feel that familiar sting of being hurt, what are you going to see? Will you see an injury that needs to be pampered and protected? Or will you see an invitation, a precious, illuminating opportunity to find a delusion, break a chain, and become just a little more free? The choice, as they say, is yours.